Good evening to one and all present here. Welcome to the next Think Tank 2021-2022, a professional development initiative jointly organized by the Rotaract Club of Smart City Navi Mumbai, Rotaract Club of Ashoka Artisans, and the Rotaract Club of Katagostaka region. Good evening to one and all present here.
I Rotaractor Kirti Patil
And I, Rotaractor Dhriti Shetty,
will be the MOC for this evening. Now I request Rotaractor Revati Sawant, the President of Rotaract Club of Smart City Navi Mumbai, to call the event to order.
Hello everyone, this is Rotaractor Revati Sawant and I'm calling myself and hereby calling the next Think Tank 2022 to order. Over to the MOC.
I request everyone to rise for the national anthem. Tell you what Entity is. Entity is a professional development initiative by Rotaract International District 3142 that aims to inspire the mass, especially the youth of today, with true stories that would awaken and aspire them on becoming more ambitious and giving them a sense of responsibility and motivation. Today, we will see three unique and inspiring speakers talk about their interesting professions, and we hope that everyone in the audience will take something very valuable and motivation from this evening. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give.
The theme for the next Think Tank this year is social responsibility. Social responsibility is an ethical theory in which individuals are accountable for fulfilling their civic duty, and the actions of an individual must benefit the whole of society. In this way, there must be a balance between economic growth and the welfare of society and the environment.
So, Kirti, do you know who the first speaker is?
Yes, it's Lieutenant Commander Vijay Nayar.
Okay, I've heard about him. Could you introduce him to the audience?
Yes, sure. Lieutenant Commander Vijay Nayar, a passionate runner, is a commissioned naval officer from Naval Academy. and has served 10 years relinquishing as Lieutenant Commander with many medals and accolades. He has been a part of Operation Talwar during 1999, famously known as Kargil War, and is decorated with OPS Vijay Star and Vijay Medal. He believes in fitness and hard work and is an ambassador for Fit India. Not only that, he is a blogger and writer with humor as his forte and was awarded the Best Author India Authors Award 2021.
Brave men rejoice in adversity, just as brave soldiers triumph in war. Ideas pulled the trigger, but instinct slowed the gun. Now, let's call upon Lieutenant Commander Vijay Nayar to share his journey with us.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Am I loud and clear?
yes.
Okay, yes, great. So thank you so much, Dhriti and Kirti, for grand introduction, rather a lavish introduction. In fact, So yeah, first of all, thanks for inviting me for this forum, and please let me know which language is preferable, English, Hindi, or English. What do you prefer?
So it's up to you.
Anything will do.
Okay. And what is the time limit I have? So I have to moderate accordingly.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So okay. So my journey, my story. So I would be throwing light on my story, and probably it would inspire many, because this is a story of a common man, and I'm only a medium. So it happened to me, and I'm sure this is the story of India. This is where the lot of will go through this. Many of them have succeeded. That's the beauty of our country. And if you believe in your dreams, if you believe in yourself, uh, that is the crux of this entire story. So the entire crux of this story is self-belief. So my theme of my life is self-belief. So I was born and brought up in Mumbai. I'm a Keralite by name, and I speak Malayalam at home, and born and brought up here. So I am a more of a Marathi Malayali, because I speak fluently. Marathi was my second language in school, and yeah, so that's how a true Mumbaiker. I everything by heart and by whole heart. So I'm a true Mumbaiker. So I was born and brought up in a place in Mumbai suburbs called Bhandup. I'm sure if people know. So it's a very small suburb, and the story was pretty interesting because my father belonged to a very affluent business family in Kerala, and true to him, he's a hardcore communist, and he never wanted to be. बोलते हैं ना कि बाप के पैसे पर ऐश नहीं करना, ऐसे वाले जो डायलॉग होते हैं ना भारी भारी ऐसे. So he believed in that. He wanted to have his own niche, and I followed it. I also followed him. So that's how he ran away from his house in Kerala. And when I say affluent business family, it is an affluent business family with whole lot of money and सब कुछ था उनके पास. And he was the eldest, so he never wanted to venture into his father's business, and that's how he came to Mumbai. Now, my biggest learnings from my life, I would just jot it down and root my talk. So first thing is education. So the importance of education. So education is must. So and education is continuous. Education never ends, and till the end of till the last day of life, you continuously educate yourself. So the first thing was my father was never educated. Being affluent, being having money, he never bothered to. In fact, their family, they were always in their business and things. So he's a sixth grade, and he left his school. So when he came to Mumbai, he found it very very difficult. बहुत मुश्किल था कि बैकग्राउंड कुछ नहीं है, पढ़ाई कुछ नहीं है, तो योर थॉट प्रोसेस श्रिंक. अगर आप एजुकेटेड नहीं हो, तो थॉट प्रोसेस श्रिंक. इट इज वेरी वेरी लिमिटेड. इट इज लाइक दिस वे ओनली. इतना ही सोच है करके. And he struggled. So he started his career as a driver. He was a cab driver to an affluent businessman. He had slept on footpath for a few days because he never knew language. He never knew when he came to Mumbai. But yes, sooner or later he realized कि कुछ तो पढ़ाई चाहिए life में. So he started doing evening classes He did his ITI in electrical technology, electrician. He was an electrician, and same place where he used to drive, वहाँ पर उन्हें electrician की नौकरी मिल गई उनकी बॉस यहाँ. So the life started for him. Still he was so खुददार बोलते हैं ना कि घर से एक पैसा नहीं लिए फिर भी he was struggling, but he never went back to his house, and that's how our life happened. So I'm a chawl kid, when you say chawl बोला तो बहुत छोटा सा घर होता है, 100 square feet की घर है. So when I was born in a chawl in Mumbai, and no regrets about this. So probably one of the best days of my life. Very content living. छोटा सा घर, 100 square feet. आज तो मेरा kitchen उतना बड़ा है. So 5 of us staying there. Tough life. My mother was again from a very educated background. Whatever happened, how they got married and all that is history. Things happen. बोलते हैं ना, ऊपर बनाते हैं जोड़ी करके. So this was that. So initially she found it very surprising because she's again a Malbari Calicut. She's from Calicut in Kerala. उनका भी घर ये थे. Father was well, and when she came here Mumbai में, तो she was surprised कि घर कहाँ है करके. Where is the house? जहाँ चालू होता है वहीं खत्म हो जाता है. Yeah. So 5 of us. I have 2 siblings. So we continued living there for long. Lot of friends around, and chawl and all. It's like an open culture. Now when we stay in a posh, locked society, what we call ना, the gated society. यहाँ हम एक दूसरे अपने neighbors को नहीं जानते. सिर्फ festivals में हम नीचे आते हैं, hi, hello, how are you type. Chawl is not like that. Everyone is in everyone's house. Suddenly, and we were 3 boys. तो हमारे घर पे तो सारी दुनिया पड़ी होती थी. छोटा सा घर. So life was pretty okay, but the thing was, something was not okay. I always wanted to go to move up into a better strata of society. And, for that, very, very important thing was education. And my mom was always focused on our education because she believed that अगर यहाँ से ऊपर आना है life में, if you want to have your own house, if you want to have own space, like even when I say chawl, हमारे यहाँ कैसे common toilets होती थी, some 13 families sharing that one common place. So that was which always kept me, कि नहीं यार ऐसे नहीं होता है life करके. So my mother focused on our education, and that's how all of us all of us did our MBA. All 3 of us are highly qualified. Still we are pursuing various subjects in our own field. So I'm 46. My younger brother is 43. And the last one is pretty young. He's 33 years old. So, but yes, the common thread, what lies between us is education. So that's why I thought to get this point very clear here, how important education is. So yes, so my first will be surprised, like every youngster, what is your guys? So I'm asking both Dhriti and Kirti, what do you want to become when you grow up? When you move, grow up, nahi, that's a wrong question, but what do you want to make a career out? So क्या है, या बचपन में क्या सोचे थे बनोगे? You're on mute, हाँ.
Actually, as a career, we had not decided बचपन से ही, but हम लोग हमेशा सोचते थे कि community के लिए कुछ करना है, और we want to make a difference somewhere or the other.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So yes, so why I asked you this question was, every one of us have some or the other ambition, है ना, कि कुछ तो करना है life में. So you'll be surprised, my first thing growing up, I wanted to become a gangster. Gangster होता है ना, गुंडा, because I was born in a time in Mumbai when I was growing up. It was gangsters का बोलबाला, बंदूकें, 90s, Mumbai of 90s world. So I was pretty fascinated. यार बंदूक होगा, all those glamour and all. And eventually one of my chachas was a gangster, So I come from such lavish background. फिर फौज में कैसे पहुंचे, कैसे, how did I become an officer? Different story. So one of my chacha was a renowned gangster. So I wanted to follow his path. बोला चलो मारेंगे, ठोकेंगे, इसलिए करेंगे, वो करेंगे. But over the time something else happened. फिर मुझे मोटरमैन बनना था. मोटरमैन होता है ना, जो ट्रेन में गाड़ी चलाते हैं. जो ट्रेन के ड्राइवर होते हैं. So I wanted to be that growing up because their life is full of travel. Yeah, they see new places. So I'm a traveler. I love traveling. I love meeting people. So that was my second thing. And then the defense happened. The interest for the armed forces happened. Here starts my life. So there was this two serial. I'm sure all of us know Shah Rukh Khan. कौन है करके है ना? Shah Rukh Khan बताया. So those days Shah Rukh Khan was a young dude, and his first serial was Fauji. Fauji बोल के एक serial होती थी. That's how he became famous. He became a household name. So I also got pretty impressed seeing his serial Fauji. That is the time armed forces as a career was. I got fascinated towards it. कि यार ये होता है life, फौजियों की life. Glamour and then hard work and whatnot, everything. The style and quotient, because I love style. I'm a metrosexual, and if you see my Instagram, I adore style. So that is what I thought Fauj is like that. But when I joined later, life was pretty different. बहुत कुछ बहुत रगड़ा देते थे and all those things which happened. So, and then there was another serial called Paramveer Chakra. Paramveer Chakra showed the valor of men who was outstanding, and they did, बोलते हैं ना जो sacrifice है उनका, it is unmatchable. Because of their spirit, because of their team spirit, we have won the war. So that was two serial which fascinated me. And if you have seen the movie Sher Shah, have you seen the movie Sher Shah? Vikram Batra ki movie. So Vikram Batra is my senior, 6 months senior. So वो मूवी में ना एक छोटा सा पार्ट है हाउ विक्रम बत्रा गेट इंस्पायर्ड टू जॉइन द आर्म फोर्सेस. ही इज वॉचिंग अ सीरियल चुपके से. जब छोटा होता है ना तो टीवी देखते होता है ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट टीवी में, एंड दैट सीरियल इज परमवीर चक्र. Okay, so we are of that same generation. So both of us got motivated similarly to join the armed force. Now the problem was my school was very small school. I'm not from a convent. I'm not from a Fauji school. Not from a Kendriya Vidyalaya. Not from a military school or all this stuff, which are these schools in our country, right? So I come from a very small school which was run by a trust. वेरी स्मॉल, हार्डली एक एक स्टैंडर्ड होते थे हर एक डिवीजन में, एक एक स्टैंडर्ड में एक एक डिवीजन टाइप्स. एंड इंग्लिश मीडियम रन बाय अ मलयाली ट्रस्ट. एंड ट्रस्ट मी, वहां पर अगर कोई हम लोग इंग्लिश में कुछ बोलने की कोशिश करते थे ना, सब ताली बजाते, अरे इंग्लिश बोल गया बच्चा, इंग्लिश बोला करके, ऑल दोस थिंग. सो इट वाज डिफिकल्ट टू कार्व अ करियर फ्रॉम देयर. Though school was pretty helpful, it belonged to people, with similar backgrounds. जिनके father workers थे, mill workers थे, all those things. So all my, the school society comprised of that. So the teachers were good, but they couldn't introduce us to a career in the armed forces. उनको पता ही नहीं था, because typically doctor, engineer बनना was only the thing for them. So one of my friends in school, उसका मामा was coming from Navy. He was in Navy, वो छुट्टी पे आया था. तो we were not knowing whether he's an officer, he's a sailor, और क्या है नहीं पता. तो हम लोग स्कूल बंक करके गए एक दिन. Those days bunking was, it was criminal. माँ पिताजी को पता चल गया तो धो डालते थे पकड़ के. अभी I have a daughter, I have a teenage daughter like you guys. तो अभी तो अगर बंक इज अ कूल फैक्टर, इफ यू हैव नॉट बंक्ड इन लाइफ, तो मतलब क्या किया आपने. माय डॉटर सेज, ओ चिल, बंक किया था. एंड आई वुड बी लाइक, व्हाई आर यू नॉट गोइंग टू स्कूल, और शी इज इन 10th grade नाउ. और अरे यार इट्स कूल, डोंट वरी करके. सो इन आवर टाइम इट वाज नॉट कूल, इट वाज क्रिमिनल. पकड़ के बहुत मारते थे. सो इन स्पाइट ऑफ ऑल दोस थिंग, जस्ट फॉर द लव ऑफ बीइंग इन द आर्म फोर्सेस, टू नो मोर, हम बंक करके गए. We met that person. He turned out to be an officer in the Indian Army, Indian Navy. Luckily, he turned out to be in Indian Navy. So luck plays very, very important factor in your life. Luck will only help you when all those visualization, all those hard work is in place. So we met him, and he told us about NDA exams and how you can go into the Indian armed forces. So वहाँ NDA का first time I came to know about NDA. NDA is National Defense Academy exams. Now even girls are allowed to to write these exams. And 2 days back, the first batch of girls got selected into SSB, which is a very big step which happened to our country, right? So previous to that, girls were not allowed in NDA. So that's a sea change which happened. सो आई केम टू नो अबाउट एनडीए, फिर बहुत पढ़ाई की उसके लिए। कॉम्प्लेक्स बहुत था, इंफीरियोरिटी कॉम्प्लेक्स, नॉट सुपीरियोरिटी। क्योंकि एनडीए लिखने बच्चे जो आते हैं ना, दे आर फ्रॉम वेरी हाई फाई बैकग्राउंड एंड दे आर प्रिविलेज्ड एंड उनके पेरेंट्स आर्म फोर्सेस से होते हैं। एंड हियर वाज अ किड फ्रॉम अ चौल इन मुंबई जिसको कुछ आता पता नहीं था। सो दैट वाज द डिफरेंस, बट कॉन्फिडेंस भर के था, inferiority complex थी, but confidence was always high. Even today, the confidence is always high. So NDA का पेपर दिया, I cleared the NDA exams. Then I went for 5 days of SSB interview. SSB interview are one of the toughest interviews in our country after IIT. Why I would say tough is because 5 days की interview होती है, 5 days का medical, and then all India merit लगता है. So you have to go through those stages. So I went to SSB Bhopal, and वहाँ लोगों को देखकर तो और भी inferiority complex. People come so immaculate, dressed up so well. And I went with a pair of one pant and two shirts to change, two white shirts to change. That was I could take. जूते एक ही जूते जो स्कूल में पहनते थे ना, वही जूते पहन के गए थे. But irrespective of that, my belief till then was that Fauj is only for people who are from the defense background. I had a strong belief. But trust me, when the process happened, the process hui, and when the name was called after 5 days selection, 3 names were called. उसमें मेरा नाम नहीं था, तो all फौजी बच्चे and people with. Then I said, यार ये लोग partial है करके, these are only for them, not for. Then galley talks होते हैं ना, सब हम लोग डिस्कस रहे ये ऐसी है. Then the fourth name was my name, and then everything changed. बोला नहीं नहीं यार फौज अच्छा है, they take everyone. So that was the thing which happened. So it was a dream come true for me, dreaming something, visualizing something, और फिर करीब, सपने के करीब है, इतना करीब. ना मेडिकल्स होना था 5 दिन, एंड आई वाज मेडिकली फिट इवन टुडे. ऐसे कोई इशू नहीं है. इवन आई डोंट वेयर स्पेक्स, ओनली फॉर लैपटॉप आई यूज स्पेक्स. नहीं तो नहीं होता. 4 दिन मेडिकल हो गया. मेडिकल मीन्स दे सी एवरीथिंग, पूरा. कभी कभी हमको लगता है इतना पार्ट भी है क्या बॉडी में जितना मेडिकल देखते करके. सो दैट वे दैट हैपेंड. एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली नाउ कम्स द क्रैशिंग ऑफ ड्रीम्स जिसको बोलते हैं ना. सो द ड्रीम क्रैश्ड. Why? Because on the 5th day of medical, something was reported short in my eyes. They said my vision is not coming to corrected 6/6. And they don't think twice. एक बार उनको मिल जाता है तो they want to reject you as far as possible. So they rejected me on medical ground. So the first thing, the first heartbreak, and it's painful. When heartbreak happens, it's really painful. And for me, the heartbreak was because towards my love towards uniform. And I knew that it is impossible again to come back and write this exam financially also, plus the timeline. Today, in your generation, you can afford to take a break of 1 year or have a purposeful drop for, getting something, some career or some need or something. But in our time was very crucial because it was needed कि जल्दी जल्दी graduate हो जाओ और नौकरी पे लग जाओ and start helping your family, you know. So I came back pretty depressed, and फिर parents, my father was very clear कि नहीं हुआ. So he said, fail हो गया ना अभी, just concentrate on your studies. It hurt me more because fail नहीं हुआ था. It was, I tried everything, it was medically rejected, but कोई सुनता नहीं है. And then there was no option. So 12th में marks अच्छे थे. Father said, you do BSc. But, I convinced him कि I need to do engineering because I could get into engineering. वो marks थे. Now problem was engineering की fees बहुत होती थी. 4,000 rupees those days. Today it's in lakhs. That time it was 4,000 free seat. So trust me, उतने भी पैसे नहीं थे देने के लिए. So I approached a trust, and that trust saw my credentials, and then they agreed to sponsor my education. So I'm a sponsored candidate, and today life is so beautiful. It's a circle. Today बोलते हैं ना भगवान का शुक्र है या God has given. So Today, I sponsor 4 kids from that trust. That's the circle of life, and this beautiful circle will continue. And many such, person like me who was helped by the trust, they come back and help the trust. That's the beauty. So I went to do engineering, 4 year of my engineering. I was in hostel. But yes, like any engineers, any engineering student, any normal engineering student, I was also an average and below average student. ये नहीं था कि तोप तलवार बन गए, क्योंकि जो स्टूडियोज होते हैं वो स्टूडियोज होते हैं. तो आई स्टार्टेड एक हॉस्टल में जाने का, हॉस्टल का लाइफ एक्सप्लोर होना चालू हो जाता है. यू डू सो मेनी थिंग्स. एंड देन वो चक्कर चक्कर में, बिकॉज सी माई गोल वॉज ऑलरेडी लॉस्ट. फौज जाना था, वही एक एम्बिशन था, वो पता था होने वाला नहीं है. तो अभी गोल कुछ नहीं था लाइफ में. सो learning number 2 is to have a goal. Goal is very, very important. You see a dream with timeline, that is goal. Dream with timeline is called a goal. So so पहला disaster life में, first time I got failure. पहला सेमेस्टर इंजीनियरिंग की 8 पेपर होते हैं, 4 पेपर उड़ गए, समझ में भी नहीं आया कैसे उड़ गए करके. एंड द ब्यूटी ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग, आई एम श्योर ऑल द ग्रेजुएशन कोर्स का यही ब्यूटी होगा. एवरीवन वाज हैप्पी. जो फेल है वो भी हंस रहे हैं, जो पास है वो भी हंस रहे हैं. जिसको 8 पेपर में 8 में पास हुए वो भी हंस रहे हैं, जो 8 में फेल हुए वो भी हंस रहे हैं. सो एवरीवन वाज हैप्पी. सो वन ऑफ द लर्निंग्स आई टुक इज फेलियर इज फाइन, बट देन हाउ यू रिसरेक्ट फ्रॉम फेलियर इज इम्पॉर्टेंट. जब आप फेल होते उसके बाद कैसे खड़े होते हो वो इम्पोर्टेंट है. तो ये डायलॉग के लिए अच्छा है. तो मैं, बट आई सेड ओके, नथिंग डूइंग, अब भी अच्छे से पढ़ेंगे. बट सेकेंड सेमेस्टर पहुंचते पहुंचते सब्जेक्ट और हार्ड होने लग गए, फिर से 4 पेपर गए. फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर 4 पेपर डाउन, सेकेंड सेमेस्टर 4 पेपर डाउन. अभी तो डिजास्टर था. अभी घर पे डैडी मम्मी को इतना आइडिया नहीं था, तो उनको तो बोलते थे ठीक है. सी मुंबई यूनिवर्सिटी वॉज लैविश. वो बोलते थे ठीक है, यू आर अलाउड टू कीप टर्म. देयर इज अ टर्म इन मुंबई यूनिवर्सिटी कॉल्ड एटीकेटी. आई डोंट नो अभी होता है क्या. तो एटीकेटी वॉज सच ए सेवियर फॉर अस. बोला चलो भाई, धक्का मारो, नेक्स्ट ईयर यू गो टू नेक्स्ट ईयर विद ऑल दिस पेपर, बैलेंस पेपर. सो नेक्स्ट ईयर भी ज्यादा कुछ खास नहीं था. नेक्स्ट ईयर 6 पेपर थे, सेम 3 एंड सेम 4. वहां भी बुरा हाल हुआ, 2 पेपर गए वहां पर. तो एक ऐसे टाइम था, इतना बैकलॉग था कि यू नो कि बैकलॉग, एक एग्जाम होता था एक सेमेस्टर का, दूसरे का बैकलॉग चलता था. बट everything changed for me when I reached in third year. It's an amazing change. थर्ड ईयर में एक एड पड़ी स्कूल के, कॉलेज के नोटिस बोर्ड पे, विच सेड join Indian Navy as a short service tech officer, and the requirement is you have to have first class in the last 4 semester. Now that was a hurricane task, because जो बंदा अभी तक बैकलॉग लेके आया, and even to aim to get a first class in last 4 semester was tough. It was not impossible but tough. बट माई गोल वॉज क्लियर, बिकॉज मुझे नेवी का एग्जाम लिखने का फिर से चांस मिल रहा था. रेस्ट ऑल क्राइटेरियाज वे मीटिंग. आई सेड व्हाई नॉट, अटेम्प्ट करते हैं. एंड ट्रस्ट मी, द लाइफ चेंज्ड. सो अगेन व्हेन योर गोल इज वेरी वेरी क्लियर, जब आपके सामने आपकी गोल होना, ट्रस्ट मी, यू विल चेंज फॉर दैट. यू विल बिकम अ डिफरेंट पर्सन. तो बहुत पढ़ाई की. आई ऑप्टेड आउट ऑफ ऑल सोशल्स. मेरे दोस्त जो हॉस्टल में मेरे रूममेट्स थे, वो लोग सरप्राइज हो गए, इसको क्या हो गया करके. सडनली ही स्टॉप्ड एंजॉइंग लाइफ, एंड देन ही इमर्स्ड इन हिज स्टडीज, एंड मेहनत कर रहा है बंदा. सी एक होता है इंटेलिजेंट पीपल जो बहुत कम पढ़ते हैं, लास्ट के 10 दिन में पढ़ के पास होते हैं. एक होता है मेहनती लोग जो एवरेज होते हैं. सो आई एम एन एवरेज हार्ड वर्किंग गाय, बिकॉज आई नो कि मैं लास्ट 10 दिन में नहीं कर सकता सिर्फ, तो मुझे हार्डवर्क बहुत करना पड़ता. सो आई स्विच्ड ऑन टू दैट मोड. कि जब फिफ्थ सेमेस्टर की रिजल्ट आई, so everyone was surprised, including I was not pretty surprised, but everyone else was surprised. I got 61 percentage, the first class, which was needed. So that was the शुरुआत. फिर 6th semester में I got 64%. 7th semester I got 68%. And eventually in the 8th semester, the last semester, I was in the top 3 of the college. So how life changed? Life जब change होता है ना, जब you have a goal. And this is true for anything. वो शाहरुख खान की डायलॉग है ना कि आप किसी चीज को शिद्दत से चाहो तो सारी कायनात एक हो जाती है उसे पूरा करने. So this is the examples for that, you know. So this was the first thing which happened. Then I got an attempt to write नेवी का एग्जाम, एसएसबी. सो फिर मैं एसएसबी में फिर से गया बैंगलोर. एंड आई न्यू कि मैं एनडीए में क्लियर हुआ था, तो ये दिस वोंट बी अ बिग टास्क, बट स्टिल आई प्रिपेयर्ड एंड वेंट. एंड व्हेन 5 days जब एसएसबी खत्म हुई, आई वाज शॉर्टलिस्टेड अगेन, आई वाज सेलेक्टेड अगेन. And it was happiest moment, you know. Now was the phase of dreaded medicals. So medical जब हुआ 4 दिन ठीक ठाक गए, 5वें दिन आंखों का फिर से इशू आया. But as I said, it was a very minor issue. So that guy who had checked me earlier, I don't know what was his mindset. उसको ये था कि रिजेक्ट करना है. ये बंदा जो था, he was nice, very cordial, wing commander थे. And he started teasing me कि what if I don't clear you. So then, you know how to get into that mode. फिर से रोना धोना कि this was my dream and everything. And luckily for me, the medical was not very harsh. And वो border case था, you know. Either it totally depended on that officer who was there. So I got medically cleared. And trust me, there was no joy. वो जो लाइफ में कुछ ऐसे पल होते हैं ना, where you will be so happy. कभी 10th का मेरिट, 10th का रिजल्ट होता है, you know, that first some close friend coming, the birth of a baby. There are few moments in your life, 10-15 moments पूरे life में होंगे, which is, so this was such golden moment. And then the merit list came. So I was in the top 4 of the entire thing. I was all India rank 4. So that was not an issue for me. And sooner or later, I was going to join the prestigious Indian Naval Academy, which is a dream of so many of youth of the country. And I was there. You know. So the journey from a small chawl in Mumbai to the prestigious Naval Academy. So this was a result of hard work. This was a result of dreaming. This was a result of visualization. This was a result of gratitude. This was a result of so many people helping you out. It was not a one-man journey, you know. It was my parents who was there, my mother who was supportive, the trust which sponsored me throughout the my entire thing, throughout my this thing. A lot of friends helped me with money as well as this thing. So it was a beautiful journey there. And then when I joined Indian Naval Academy in 1999, it was that one beautiful year of academy wherein you are पूरा रगड़ा होता था. You never used to know क्या चल रहा है लाइफ में करके, you know, academy में full time punishment में रहते थे. First phase, first 6 months was कभी कबर्ड के ऊपर चढ़ के बैठे हैं, कभी मुर्गा बन के बैठे, कभी रोलिंग कर रहे हैं, कभी रनिंग विद ऑल दो स्टफ, यू नो, लाइक पूरा बैग बिग लेके यू आर रनिंग बजरी. एंड ह्यूमन बॉडी इज अमेजिंग, यू नो. ह्यूमन बॉडी सो अमेजिंग, आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा कि चल क्या रहा है लाइफ में. Because if you push your body to that limitation, that is what the Naval Academy or the entire Armed Forces Academies does to you. So yes, one beautiful year, and then the day came for passing out, you know. And passing out parade, trust me, it is a golden moment. And this moment nobody can buy from you as an officer, because जैसे मैं हर टॉक में बोलता हूँ कि भले अंबानी, अडानी, बिल गेट्स और मार्क जकरबर्ग, एलॉन मस्क, ये सारे भी पूरा पैसा डाल देना तो भी वो मोमेंट खरीद नहीं सकता है. दैट मोमेंट इज टू बी अर्नड, नो वन कैन बाय दैट मोमेंट. एंड व्हेन यू पास आउट ऑन अंतिम पग, जब आप अंतिम पग से गुजरोगे तो ऊपर से चॉपर्स एंड डॉनियर्स विल शव अ फ्लावर ऑन यू, फूल बरसाते हैं. एंड देन यू क्रॉस द अंतिम पग, आपकी आंखों में आंसू होती है, यू क्राई, यू क्राई फॉर वेरियस रीजन. It's a splutter of emotions which come. Happiness in the sense that you have achieved that. Sad because you're leaving the academy. And if you leave the academy, आप आपके coursemate को छोड़ रहे हो, आप पता नहीं कि कभी life में मिलोगे, because वहाँ से you have different postings. So a lot of emotions के साथ जब हम आते, and then parents stand, mother on the left and father on the right, and एक ब्यूगल बजती है. वो ब्यूगल के साथ they remove your stripes. स्ट्राइप के ऊपर एक white cloth होता है, and on that drums, they remove that, and then golden epaulet बाहर निकलता है stripe का. Now you are a commission officer, you are a sub lieutenant, you are no more cadet, gentleman cadet Vijay Nayar, you are a sub lieutenant, and you are presented to the nation. You are presented to the nation with a oath. वो मोमेंट से आप अपने माँ बाप के बच्चे नहीं रहते हो, आप देश के बच्चे बन जाते हो. तो माँ बाप को कोई हक उसके बाद रोने का नहीं होता है कि तो वी टेक द ओथ ऑफ, हम मार मिटने की कसम खाते हैं. आपने सुना होगा मूवीज और यहाँ सब कि मर मिटना मर मिटना. सो मर मिटना इज अ नेगेटिव थिंग, मार मिटना इज अ पॉजिटिव थिंग. एंड मरना इज इंसिडेंटल, हुआ तो हुआ. बट वी नेवर फियर डेथ. इवन टुडे आई डोंट फियर डेथ, and I have seen death so closely many times during the Kargil war and all those things. So yes, so we passed out of Naval Academy as a sub-lieutenant, and for me, I'm lucky, I'm privileged, because the moment I passed out of academy, I went in straight to Kargil war, Operation Talwar. And Operation Talwar was India, Pakistan, I'm sure all of us know. तो जब जहाज में फर्स्ट टाइम गए, तो एज अ 22 years old, आई वाज 22 years old then, एंड जब बोला गया कि वॉर में जा रहे हैं, तो फर्स्ट इमोशन, ट्रस्ट मी, इज नॉट जॉय. द फर्स्ट इमोशन इज फियर. डर लगता है. लाइफ इज सो ब्यूटीफुल, बोलते अरे यार अभी तो लाइफ पटरी पे आ रहा है. एंड फॉर मी इट वाज मोर बिकॉज आई वाज लाइक, अभी माय पेरेंट्स विल बी इन मच बेटर पोजीशन अगर मेरे साथ सैलरीज वेर डिसेंट. और अभी तुम बोल रहे हो वॉर में जाओ करके, and you never know what happens. But after some time, euphoria takes over fear. Fear is for momentary. फिर ये होता है यार, फौज हम इसलिए तो ज्वाइन किए ना. You're privileged because many people don't get this opportunity. And then we were like ready at 22 years old. And trust me, Kargil war was won by all 22 years old. If you see Vikram Batra, he was 24. Anuj, he was 23. You say Saurabh Kalia, he was 22. He was my batchmate. And then Manoj Pandey, Paramveer Chakra, all three Paramveer Chakra were, all four Paramveer Chakras, three were in the age bracket 19 to 23, 24, and one was 27, 26, 27. This was. So the 22 year, the youth won the war for us. That is what Kargil war was. That's the power of youth. So all of us saw action so closely. So मेरी जो जहाज थी, so we were close to Karachi for 30 days. And, everyone knows army story, Operation Vijay, Barkha Dutt and all. She was there. But Navy की story बहुत लोग कम जानते हैं. तो हम कराची के मुंह पे थे. And we were waiting for orders. Saw a lot of action station, missiles जब ready हो रहे थे. And I got fascinated towards missile during that operation. And later I did my post-graduation in weapons and missiles technology. That was one fascination. And I used to sleep in a missile compartment. It was called PLCP because जहाज में जगह नहीं थी officers mess में सोने के लिए. So first time I experienced seasickness, खून की उल्टी हुई, सब कुछ, everything was so new for me. But with a zeal to do, be part of that event, be part of history, And then हम Kargil war जीत गए. Pakistan surrendered, and the next day Navy was to fire missiles, and पिछला रात को ceasefire मार दिया उन्होंने. So I always tell in my talk, we were just a flying kiss away from Karachi. Had we given a flying kiss, Karachi would have been history. Karachi would have been in bakeries and biscuits. So all those Karachi biscuit, Karachi bakery. Nevertheless, war is not a happy situation. What we see in Russia and Ukraine. Lot of lives will be lost. Economy goes back 20 years. So one way, yes, कि ज़्यादा डिस्ट्रक्शन नहीं हुआ. Other way ये भी होता है कि हम फौजी है, we are only for that day, we live for that day when the nation, we give everything to our nation. And so that's why I was decorated with the Kargil War Medal, being in the action area for 30 plus days. And that's what, these are the medals for that. The first one star is the Kargil War Medal. And so yes, so then life went on. I did various appointments in Navy. So I was a short service commission officer, 10 years. So I was decorated thrice. I was commended by Chief of Naval Staff, then the flag officers, Western Naval Command and the Eastern Naval Command. And I'm a technical officer, an engineer. So did a lot of innovations, lot of this thing. And then I was posted in a Marine Commando base, missile and the Marine Commando base. That's why the fascination towards fitness. I wanted to join the special forces, but only being in a short service commission, they didn't allow. So even today, I live like a commando. I run, I cycle, I do a lot of gymming, and I keep fitness as an epitome, fitness as a way of life. So today morning I ran at 20 kilometers. So tomorrow morning I'll run at 20 kilometers. So that's how the life progressed. And my mantra is that each one of us should take that 45 minutes out for us, because we have to love ourselves first. Love yourself first, respect yourself first. If you do that, other people will love you, they will respect you. So that's the mantra of my life. And I did a lot of marathons in India and abroad. 14 countries I ran. And in year 2019, I did one of the toughest marathons of the world called Comrades, which is 89 kilometers run, and you have to complete in 12 hours in South Africa. So I did it in 11 hours, 48 minutes, representing as a part of the Indian contingent. And this year again, I'm going to do in August 28th. On August 28th, this year, I'm doing my second time the same. So yes, life goes on. And I was very weak in English in school days. So one of the thing which I do is the thing which I am weak in, I put in extra effort there to master that, because that is how the life is. जो भी जहां पर भी आप weak हो ना, ensure that you master that. So same I was a weak runner, but I ensured that I mastered this art of running. Same goes with my English. Someone who was not able to connect the words and speak. And today I've authored 7 books, 2 solo and 5 anthologies. My third solo is about to come. So last year I received the Best Author award on the humor and entertainment category, all India level. I blog, I write. Humor is my strong point, and I do everything around humor. And I'm connected to the youth of this country through Instagram, because I was new to Instagram during lockdown. And the love which I received on this forum from youngsters, and I could help close to 55 of them to join the armed forces at various levels. And this is absolutely free of, that's my way of giving back to the society, because I struggled to get a mentor during my phase of joining. So that's my give back to the society. So I become very happy when youngsters say that, sir, because of you, I am here today. So a lot of them, close to 55 of them got selected, and a few of them couldn't make it. And many of them invite me to their passing out parades and all, saying that, you were my inspiration. And so you love to hear those words. And as I always tell all of them, कि मैं एक जरिया हूँ, I am just a medium. मेरे जैसे बहुत लोग हैं, and it could be your story. So believe in that story and dream. सपने देखो, So if I sum my life in a phrase or a sentence or a beautiful thought, is that the experience of experiencing an experience. So my life is a summation of experience, the experience of experiencing an experience. And that's beautiful. So thank you so much, Jai Hind. So this was me. And this was me for you.
What an inspirational story. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. We are honored to have you with us today.
So, sir, there were a few questions, but I feel you have already answered them. One question is, what is next for you?
Yeah, so the next for me is, so currently, my day job or main profile is that I do work in a corporate. People ask me this question, sir, आप काम करते हो? हाँ, मैं जाता हूँ सुबह 8 घंटा, कुछ तो करके आता हूँ. एक corporate. So I'm a vice president for a company at the senior corporate level, a very prestigious company. I head the 3 companies compliance and this thing. So I'm a busy man in the entire week and do a lot of community service. So next for me is a PhD. So I'm doing a PhD. Next for me is a Ironman. Ironman is running, cycling, swimming. Where you have to complete all those things. Next for me is the third book which I'm looking forward, which is in the production stage. Next for me is my daughter, her career, and making her endurance athlete, because she is this thing. And next for me is helping many kids out there, to make it big to go into the armed forces. So this is beautiful. This is, as I said, I'm only 46 years old. I have finished 3 or 4 phases of my life, and the next phase is equally going to be beautiful. As of now, I don't know what, but I'm sure life is good. Life is beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. It was indeed a great experience. I'm sure all the youngsters here needed this dose of motivation. Let's move on to the next segment of this event, a panel discussion on corporate social responsibility. Sincere ethics on hypocritical public relations. Our first panelist is Mr. Himanshu Goenka. He is the founder and president of Muskurat Foundation. He is a young, passionate social worker and entrepreneur at heart and specialized in intellectual properties. He has played a vital role in promoting entrepreneurship among school students through India's future tycoons.
Our second speaker, Professor Aditya Singh, is the director of Athena School of Management in Mumbai, India, where he also teaches impact leadership and differential thinking. He has decades of experience across the corporate sector, consulting academics, and entrepreneurship. Aditya sits on the advisory board of several startups across the world. Aditya is a Schwarzberg Global Fellow in Corporate Governance and is also an active Rotarian.
Our third panelist, Dr. Anjali Chandra Kumar, is a health economist with a special focus on the insurance sector, certified Six Sigma and lean management in healthcare from Quality Council of India. Her PhD topic is the least research area in India and Asia. She has worked on various projects with the Ministry of Health, West Bengal, Maharashtra, and Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. She has mentored various groups working in the field of design and health under ICSID, MIT USA, Center for Creative Leadership under the Global Citizen Leadership Program.
And now let me introduce you to our one and only moderator, DRR Rotarian Retractor Rajesh Dhoni, an entrepreneur, a business consultant, a great leader, social influencer, packed with enthusiasm and a keen to bring about a change in the society. His entrepreneurial journey saw him recognized as a top 50 entrepreneurs in the International Business Excellence Awards 2018 held in Dubai. He has been dedicatedly serving the district with all his goal to bring about a change in the society. I welcome you all and handing over it to you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Dhriti and Kirti. Very good evening to all the panelists, Himanshu, Aditya, and Anjali ji. I hope you guys are doing really well.
Yes, Rajesh. I am glad that we made this happen, and I hope that you are feeling good also about it.
I'm sure.
Hi, Rajesh. Nice catching up. Been some time.
Long time. I think after 2018, 17.
Yeah. The world's changed.
The world changed indeed. Hi, Anjali ji. How are you? Dr. Anjali?
Hi all. I think there is a little network issue at my end, so my voice might break a little. But first of all, happy festivities to all of you. I think in many parts of India, still Holi is celebrated today. And it's an honor to be part of this panel and be with all of you. And I look forward to an engaging and enriching session for myself as well. Thank you.
Perfect. So I think we'll just, dive straight into the entire topic that's been given, and it's actually a very nice topic. It's CSR. Is it sincere ethics or hypocritical public relations? I'm sure all three of you all are very familiar with the CSR Act and the company section 13, which the government has done. But CSR, let's there's a global movement of CSR that happens, and there is also a macro level that happens within India. So we'll start. I think we'll touch both, and we can probably look at the comparison in the policies also, which probably side with each. Himanshri, since you come from an NGO background, you come from a background that kind of depends also on CSR fundings to make a change. What is your thought?
I think it is a great act because before that, I think institutional fundraising, institutional giving level, where we only had like the Tatas and all the big level companies essentially. But after the introduction of this act, a lot of mid-sized companies were also exposed to this field, right? They just have to give like 2% of their profits, which is not which is not a huge amount. But I think a lot of companies got that push because it was needed. A lot of people were not motivated to give to the developmental sector. Because of this act, it became like a mandate. And I think it was necessary at that point because jab tak wo nahi hota, companies would not have like come together and started donating essentially. Uske pehle CSR or company funding was a very niche and a very rare kind of a fundraising model. I started Muskurat in 2014. It has been a great journey. In 2013, the act came together and we started. A lot of companies have worked with us, and it has been because of that mandate thing. Because it became a mandate, it became a very streamlined process. Still, a lot of things need to be done in the act and the way companies perceive the act. But it is a good start. It's been just some time. We have a long way to go ahead. So yeah.
Perfect. Ajay, what do you think? You think the 2% is fair enough for companies to give back 2%? The number 2% works for you?
Rajesh, I happen to wear a couple of hats. I happen to be the advisor to the ESG Center at the University of Chicago. I also happen to be the chair for Sustainable Finance and ESG Investments at GBSN. And of course, as you probably know, a couple of years ago, I was the Avenue Chair for CSR in RID 3141. So seen all of it. A couple of things. The Indian CSR Act, while good from a local perspective, is about 20 years behind the world. That's a fact. We've got to address it where it is. We call it CSR. CSR is so last decade in the world. It's ESG now. So we're always playing catch up. That's number 2. Number 3, when you always take a stick and you tell people, तुम्हें ये करना ही पड़ेगा, नहीं तो तुम्हें मार पड़ेगी, वो बंदा कर तो लेगा, लेकिन वो कैसे करता है, that वो बोले भाई आपने मुझे बोला 2% डालना, मैं 2% डाल दिया, अब आपने मुझे ये नहीं कहा मुझे कहाँ डालना है, कैसे डालना है. So the devil is not in the policy. The devil is in the execution and implementation. Of late, just take a minute more, we talk about related party transactions, right? If we go into CSR and then we see how many companies are actually doing CSR for their related party, and I know why that's why Himanshu will be smiling, you will see that it is a very nice, beautiful, vicious or virtuous cycle, depending upon which part or side of the fence you're sitting in. So that's going to be a challenge. It's a good beginning, but I think we need to get more mature into this at the speed of light. That's important.
Perfect. Yes, I completely agree. I mean, it's the world is changing rapidly. I think our policies also should, match the pace at which things are definitely changing. Anjali ji, since you come from an medical background and you have expertise in healthcare management, post the pandemic, a lot of companies, a lot of entities who fall under CSR now all of a sudden want to channel their CSR funds towards medical centric causes. But in the same time, you also have the government with the PMO fund and all of that, which is also already circulating, right? How do you see CSR impacting the medical industry? And do you think, and this is a secondary question to that do you think the government also should be looking at CSR or leave CSR completely to civil service organizations to fill the gaps that they identify, and the government keep looking on to what they are responsible to do?
I'll take the first part first. So when I look at CSR and the healthcare, trust me, maximum CSR happens in the healthcare in India. Be it women healthcare, be it child nutrition, most of the projects of CSR is done areas, and we still know, from me coming from a healthcare background, I still know that there is a lot of stuff to be done in this area, right? Government is also doing. Maharashtra, most of the COP are sitting at one of the areas, and the CSR people are there in that area, right? So it is happening in the healthcare sector, but yes, as rightly said, said by both panelists, is a question mark that how I am using the CSR fund. So there is no, so CSR is actually a part of a marketing department of any organization. It means I'm sending out the money, but it comes back to me in some form, benefits me in some form, and then, so we are actually killing the main purpose of doing that CSR activity. Right. So I know, in fact, if I go in a larger corporates, if you go into pharma companies, all the CSR activities are there for the medicos, and we know how those CSR activities. I don't have to be very vocal about it. Right. So the step has been taken. Yes, companies are doing it, but I think that return, what we want in return of everything, what we are doing for the society is a point where we need to actually look at and revisit, and probably there are some government norms to be put over there. Yeah.
Perfect. So now talking about, since the other part of this panel discussion
So
is the publicity aspect, right? So if in the global market, a lot of the ESG or CSR that happens, part of the mandate is you don't take credit for it. Right? It's not a branding activity. It's not a marketing activity. It's something that you take in as a responsibility as your contribution towards making the world a better place. However, in India, that mandate isn't in place, right? And I think an example that we could take was, I think around a few years back during the IPL season, Hero MotoCorp used to do these animated videos of PSAs, public service advertisements, right? Like, of don't drink and drive, look across the road before you cross, which was basically an advertising spend, but because it was a PSA, it fell under the CSR norms, and it was a CSR initiative, right? And I think this is where that dichotomy is created when for a panel discussion, that a lot of CSR today is channeled in or packaged or sold across as marketing and advertising spends and gimmicks on the name of CSR, wherein it's actually supposed to reach and touch the grassroots and fill the gaps where there is an actual need. Himanshu, what is your thought on this, and what do you feel probably needs to start changing?
So basically, I have two perspectives on it. I don't blame companies as such, because it will be wrong. A lot of companies are doing great work in CSR. But I think, if you see, there are types of companies, right? So there's your big short corporates, MNCs, who have like crores and crores of rupees in turnover, and they have like, unka 2% bhi bahut zyada paisa hota hai. Hundreds of crores hota hai, right? And then, but Companies Act is, the CSR Act is applicable to any company, right? Any private limited. So there are a lot of mid and small size companies. The problem is that CSR ka jo thought hai, and the vision towards it, it is a way of institutional fundraising. It also comes from a lot of personal biases and a lot of personal motives. So a lot of times directors of companies give instructions to their teams कि इसको ऐसे घुमाना है, right? Which is wrong, which is like a very personal bias, personal motivation towards it. But a lot of times companies, I don't think all the companies in India today have like full-fledged CSR departments run by CSR professionals. CSR professionals go through an education in how to plan development and how to plan philanthropy. And they assess the needs of the people, they assess the impact, they vet the organization, and then they plan their whole philanthropy. Even if it's just giving 10 lakh rupees, it needs to be planned a lot. But a lot of companies don't have those things in place. One, because they don't have the motivation to do it. Second, they don't have the resources to have proper CSR teams in place. I think because of that, CSR as a department goes towards either the marketing people or the HR people. I have met both kind of companies. Now, if I'm a marketing professional, I've learned marketing. हम लोग को सिखाया गया CSR को कैसे tweak करते हैं. I've done my MBA in media entertainment. We know product launches में एक CSR angle होना ही चाहिए. We know हम लोग कुछ बड़ा कर रहे हैं तो there has to be a CSR angle to get that PR. नहीं तो media ही नहीं आएगी, right? So when I am a marketing professional and when I am handling CSR, मेरा core expertise is marketing. So whatever I will do will be related to marketing, right? At the same time, if I'm an HR and if someone has told me you have to do CSR, my primary is HR. My primary is keeping the employees of the company motivated. And so whatever I will do in that will be focused on employees. The thing is CSR pura alag hi hai. There the core is the community. There the core is beneficiaries. You should know and understand the beneficiaries and then only you will be able to plan how to develop them, right? Or how to impact them. वो lack of education है. It is basically lack of either lack of resources or lack of awareness. So what I feel the solution towards it will be, सबसे पहले तो intent का कुछ नहीं कर सकते. अगर कंपनी का इंटेंशन ही है कि मार्केटिंग जिमिक करना है उसको या उसको HR लेवल पे लेके जाना है, then we can't do anything about it. But if the company is intending to do it, but they're not able to do because their people handling that CSR are not equipped towards it, I think one basic thing we should do is कि एक CSR का workshop पे रखवा लो, एक crash course kind of a thing with the people handling that particular department. कि okay, भले ही Himanshu, you're from a marketing department, I will ask you to handle CSR for my company.
Himanshu, you're not audible. We can't hear you. We lost.
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
So भले ही I am a marketing professional and I am supposed to handle CSR. At least if I have like a basic course in CSR or basic set of workshops, मेरा एक दिमाग उस लेवल पे चले जाएगा. My brain will get channelized on that level. I should think about a beneficiary first, and I think that should be a good starting point. That CSR workshops should happen in the companies where fully fledged CSR teams are not present. And second, I think solution निकल के आ रहा है. Nowadays we see a lot of CSR consultancies, organizations, right? Like Dasra is there, United Way is there, where companies just outsource their CSR department. Now these organizations are run by professionals in the industry. A lot of them are run by the impact leaders, like the leaders of the developmental industry. They know that it is their expertise कि वो money को manage कैसे करना है, उससे सबसे ज़्यादा impact कैसे लेके आना है. And I think nowadays वो like so companies who don't have full-fledged CSR department just outsource their CSR to those consulting NGOs, and then they vet organizations, then they assess the needs, and then they handle the complete thing. So I think it बहुत ज़्यादा solution based approach पे लाना पड़ेगा if the intent is there. If the intent is not there, then फिर तो भगवान ही बचा, like we can't do anything about it. So yeah.
Thanks, Himanshu. Aditya, where if we talk about the CSR industry in general, let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
It also happens to be one of the most probably corrupt verticals that exist, and I think all these government reforms that have come in over the past 4-5 years is probably trying to streamline and to ensure that such obstacles don't arise. However, within the big corporates, within the entire MSME segment itself, we all know that there is a lot of corruption within that system, and even this 2%, which is supposed to finally reach, doesn't really reach, right? So, your thoughts, Aditya, on how we could probably, or what we should be looking towards in creating probably policies and in the company itself, CSR company policies itself, to probably streamline that.
Thanks, Rajesh, for the question. First of all, I'd like to thank, before I move forward, it'll be unfair if I don't thank Paridhi and Khushi for reaching out to me to be part of the panel. It's very good. I should acknowledge them. So thanks, Paridhi and Khushi. Coming back to the question, the 2 or 3 things. I'll give you a figure. In FY 1920, India Inc., that's corporate India, technically spent 24,000 crores on CSR. 24,000 crores is a lot of money. They've spent it. I haven't seen it. None of us have. All right. It's been spent. I don't doubt them. It's reporting. Where has it been spent? How it has been spent is anyone's guess. In the good old LIC days, when an insurance agent came to you and said, "Aap insurance खरीदो," a lot of people said, "हाँ मैं खरीदूंगा, मैं प्रीमियम भी भर दूंगा, लेकिन प्रीमियम जो मैं भरूंगा, तुम मुझे उससे वापस कितना दोगे?" That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything else. Now, again, looking from a macro global perspective, we call a lot of things which happen from a marketing perspective greenwashing. That is the word which we use globally now, and it's happening with major corporations. For example, I'll just give an external perspective. How can a global oil company like British Petroleum or Shell ever become environment friendly, right? So they come out with these big things. We're doing this for the environment, for society governments. For God's sake, you're drilling the earth's crust and you're taking out oil which pollutes the world. Period. You can everything. But that's greenwashing, all right? And these are really, really good machineries for PR and marketing. In India, for a chote, we will not come to that stage. We will. We're going there. We've got bigger companies. We'll reach there completely. So the problem is the entire structure and to the scale. MSMEs by very nature, in India, make profit not by declaration of profit. All right. MSMEs by nature make profit by cutting costs. All right. And not declaring too much profit for the tax plan. It's the truth. Let's be very honest. I'm not naming anyone, but that's how most MSMEs say. So cutting corners. Banda, he's saving money by declaring less profit. And tum usko bolo, us profit tum CSR pay karo. He's obviously going to do something to make more money out of it. And it happens to everyone. The second part, very important, is what is the imperative? Nowadays, when you hear CSR in India, it sounds awfully like donation to me. You're donating to society. You're doing social service. Aap sabka bhala kar rahe ho. Doesn't work. We live in a capitalistic economy. The only motivator and driver for a company in the end, and rightly so, is profit, right? Now, of course, the world is changing, and I'm sorry, Rajesh, I'll take an extra minute if you allow me on this. That we're moving from shareholder profit to stakeholder profit. That's important, right? Stakeholders. So that's where this has to move. That the people who told me in the end, अगर आपने सोसाइटी का भला किया, वही तो आपका लॉन्ग टर्म कंज्यूमर है ना, वो आपके पास आएगा, वो देखेगा, वो करेगा. That's number one. The second part is, in fact, this is very interesting. Just a couple of hours ago, I had a very interesting meeting with someone, with a policymaker, in fact, in Delhi. I won't name the company or the person. And we were discussing the problem is that right now people look at it as donation as an option. Kar diya. What you have to do is make people understand two things: risk and opportunity. That's the only thing that the corporate world understands. What is the risk if you don't do this? All right. That's number one. For example, 750 million Indians are below the age of 25. If US companies don't do welfare for them and bring them up for the poverty line, US companies are going to have a lot of social, disruption in the next 20 years, which is going to affect your profits. Simple. Business never succeeds over there. All right, that's the thing. What's your opportunity? The opportunity is if you make sure 750 million Indians, young Indians, have a job and out the poverty line, they are potential customers to you directly or indirectly, which increases your top line. Right? If you talk in this language, then companies understand. We talk about ha, hoo, daan karo, talk to them about tangibles, talk to them about actual timelines, and then see how the money flows, hopefully. And you still will have people who try to cut corners, but then that is human nature. Really can't do anything about that.
Brilliantly said. I couldn't agree more. I think very well articulated those points from your end, Aditya. Anjali, I wanted to ask you this. Now, the whole scenario has become very pragmatic, and we have. I think Himanshu would be knowing about the CSR Form 1 that has come out this year. The government brought that out as a mandate for all companies that are accepting CSR. All of this said and done, and if you look at the form also and you go through it, the R in CSR is never given any value, right? And it just goes in what Aditya just said, like it's more of a donation. Check फाट के दे दिया है तो हो गया, मैंने दान दिया, I've donated. Whereas the whole concept is a responsibility. There is accountability. There is progress that needs to be tracked. What are your thoughts? And again, coming from your industry, how it's becoming more just a check that is being given and more than an accountability taken for progress to be measured and impact to be assessed.
So Rahesh, what happens is in CSR also there are few companies who actually go back and track what funds they have invested and what is the impact of it. There are few companies which are doing it, right? And they have their scoring and scaling pattern, which is very much there. So Tata Group does it, right? They religiously do it. They have the scoring pattern. Okay, this is the amount I have spent in these 5 areas, and what is the how it is the situation in these areas are improving. Right, so they do have this scoring pattern and everything. When it comes to healthcare, and especially when it comes to hospital as a segment, right, they have their outreach programs where they have actually taken over one of the areas and they keep doing a lot of work in and around it till the time they don't bring that area to a particular level, right? Coming from the healthcare sector, again, I would want to say one thing, that it's a very difficult sector where your consumers itself are not acceptable to a lot of the support which corporates want to give, right? So if there is malnourishment, which is there in India, in the rural parts of India, mothers don't want to take the food or the medical facility which is provided by the private institutes. Now, there's a lot of, there's also the way Aditya said that we have to change the mindset of the corporates. We need to also work towards changing the mindset of the receivers, right? If I am trying to uplift or I'm trying to bring your health score to a particular level, you need to follow some things. Right, you need to visit your nearest doctor. You need to visit my ambulance, which is coming every week to your nearest area. Right, if you're an expecting mother, please reach to those areas. If you have a malnourished child, please feed them the food which not only companies are providing, which your CSR activities are providing, but also the government is doing a lot of work in these areas. Right, so I think responsibility comes from both the ends. One is the corporate, that please go and check where you have done your funding, what is the impact you have made, and have you made any change in that area or not. And the second responsibility comes from the receivers end, that if something is happening for me, I should use it responsibly. We have been to rural areas and we have seen people giving all the malnourishment ka feeds to the animals and cattle, right? अब वो cattle खाएगा तो वो nourished रहेगा, mother kahan se rahenge nourished, bachcha kahan se nourished rahega, right? So it has to, the responsibility I think comes from both the areas. And yes, in India we need more companies to come with those maker checkers and those scoring card, and they have to be visible to the consumers as well, that if I'm saying I'm doing or I have taken a responsibility to change some particular area, I would be doing it, right? Which very few companies are coming up with as of now.
Perfect. So now I'm going
I want to add here.
Yeah.
So ma'am said about tangibilities and mapping impact, right? So nowadays this whole concept is coming about SROI, which is social return on investment. As Aditya sir said, that companies should treat it like an investment, right, and not like a donation. A lot of things are happening on those levels, and when it comes to monitoring and evaluation, this SROI concept is really growing. Internationally, it has grown a lot. India, India ka fabric is so unorganized and it is so random. It is becoming difficult to implement it on a mass level. So like what Muskat is doing, so our Vice President Sneha went through a course of KPMG in SROI. So what we're doing, see, we work in education. Healthcare, it is easier to map impact because you're literally saving people's lives. Usse zyada kya chahiye? Like it is, and at the same time, a lot of other causes are very tangible in terms of 10 lakh rupe diye to 4 lakh logo mein meals pahunche. It is very numbers, right? The numbers are very, it's units versus money. In education, it is a little more complex because you're actually trying to change someone's life in a long period of time. So like the student who is learning in our class in 2nd standard, usko 15 saal baad uske andar impact dikhega, right? So a lot of focus needs to be given to sustainability. NGOs ke side pe ye hai ki we should find a way to tangibilize that, ki wo puri journey map karke how you can quantify the impact you're creating on a daily level. a lot of NGOs in the country are lacking that. Like the thing which I did, I realized this pretty earlier, and जैसे ही थोड़े पैसे raise हुए हमारे, we hired that expert. We hired Sneha ki मुझसे नहीं होगा ये, because it is very very theoretical and it has to come with a lot of logic. So in order to scale up Muskurat and do tangible impact, even though our sector is intangible, we need these things in place. So like capacity building of NGOs on monitoring and evaluation is a very direct, because if, as Aditya sir said, ki, if you show a corporate ki this is point A, this is point B, either point B पे ये impact है और उसके लिए इतने पैसे लगेंगे, people give money. ऐसा नहीं है कि people will not give money. If you show a corporate ki this is how a life of a child will change tangibly, they will get impressed. But if you go with vague terms, if you go with uncertainties in the pitch, it will not happen. And then again, then corporate का mind पहुंचेगा कि okay, अगर मैं social impact नहीं get कर तो at least marketing से तो कुछ आने देते हैं. So that is one thing. In terms of responsibility of the beneficiaries, or like they are also the stakeholders in this whole transaction, right? I think that's where NGOs come in, because beneficiaries, we can't expect them. Like we can't. They are anyways. They don't have that privilege to know the whole section कि क्या कैसे पहुंच रहा है मेरे पास पैसा, and why to take it seriously. I think it is the role of the NGOs to make sure that the people take it seriously. So like as ma'am said about food distribution and helping them nutrition, like I have seen Anganwadi women do great work. They know each and every household. They know what is the status of the health of each and every woman in the community, and then they supply food. So in one of our community centers, a different NGO, so we work in education in that community center, different NGO does nutrition. They have like a whole data कि अब ये women pregnant हुई है तो within 3 months उसको ये लगेगा, 6 months उसको ये लगेगा, and post pregnancy ये लगेगा, and they go to door and create this data and plan that. So I think NGOs, if there are good NGOs in the country who know how to do this, who are actually working on the grassroots level, it will get solved, because beneficiaries trust NGOs, they don't trust corporates. So a trust level, because मैं वहाँ पे सालों से काम कर रहा, they will be acceptable for me to come to their doorstep and ask things about them and create education around it. So yeah, having NGOs who are working on a deeper grassroots level and communities who are trusting those NGOs is very important. तब automatically responsibility आ जाएगा. If the communities trust the NGOs, then it depends upon the NGO कि वो कैसे कर रहे हैं, right? Because then people will follow automatically. NGOs are influencers in the communities.
Got
So,
it.
yeah.
Thanks, Himanshu. I'm now going to put the spotlight on one very particular vertical within the CSR domain, right? And that's on environment. And the reason I'm going to touch this is because I think even with the audience, the people who are viewing it,
Yeah.
literacy, healthcare, all of this for a very a modern day crowd is not something that they get to see or they're impacted by on a day-to-day basis, but something that everyone else of today is being very impacted by and are very aware about it is environment. And look at, I mean, the heat wave we have just had in Mumbai the past 1 week is a standing example. With the growing temperature rise of 1.5 degrees Celsius, we are all heading towards a very I should say probably a hellish description of what could be described of what the environment is going to be like. And this is now where I'm going to break this down, and I want to throw this, to all of you all to give your thoughts on it. We are already pushing a lot of efforts towards consumerism and capitalism because that strengthens the economy. India has become the 4th largest capitalistic country in the world, although on paper we are socialistic according to our constitution, but that's how we are functioning. Around 71% of the carbon footprint or the damage caused by the carbon is probably the top 100 companies in India are responsible for 71% of it. In a race between growing the economy to damaging the environment, the question arises, and this is what I'm going to put forward to you all. Do you all at that point of time think that the 2% that these giants, these companies then give, is it accountable for the kind of damage that they're already doing? And this is open to any of you all to start giving your views. I would love to hear.
I'm going to dive in. Okay,
Yes.
first of all, I've got one. I'll just say one thing. Tesla. That's all I will say. Okay. The problem is we're looking at this from that blinkered vision of 2%. Take that vision out. Change your business model. That's the problem. All right. People assume that if you're ESG, environmental, social, or government, you can't make money. That's rubbish. Tech is all about enabling lesser resources and leveraging that higher resources into higher returns. I mean, Rajesh, you know that better than me, obviously, but that's what it's about. I mean, you're talking about 2%. So obviously, we're talking about an internal combustion engine manufacturer, which is basically every single automobile manufacturer. Uska bolte 2% देने के लिए, that's not enough for the damage he's causing. Same for a fuel company, right? For an Indian Oil, for a BP, no matter how much of it, कितने भी वो पेड़, आपको वो plant करके दे दे, it's not 1 + 1 is not equal to 2 in this case, right? You have a Tesla, which has changed the entire paradigm. Where is the pollution in a Tesla? What is it damaging? He's not. But the important thing is Tesla making money? Is Tesla actually a profitable or a capitalistic model of money? Yes, it is. It is one of the most valued companies in the world. That is what we have to look towards moving. It's not an either or. That time is gone. The world's temperature, this is just a small teaser, will go up by 2.5%. 1% ho gaya, 1.5% hone wali hai. Okay? I'm telling all of you over here, enjoy the kind of rain you get, the kind of water you get. It's not there in the next 50 years. No matter how much, even if you stop now, that's period. So companies have to change their models, not because of social imperative, but because of business imperative. Tomorrow, if I set up a very big cement plant or a power plant on the Mumbai coast, say in Raigad on Alibag, in 20, 30 years, I will not have that factory because it will be flooded. Right? Period. It is not a social risk or environmental, it is a business risk. So if those companies don't start doing it now, companies are long-term players, they're out. Final example, Jaguar Land Rover is very, very clear. Its next generation of automobiles are going to be all electric. Not because they love to hug trees, but that's the only way to go forward to make money in the long term and be relevant. That's what companies have to be told to do.
I agree to what Aditya said. And one thing which is there is it's not about 2%. It's about the intent. It's about the way I'm doing the business. And it's also about how I want to project my company to the young generation, right? It is going to make and break my company very honestly, because at our level, when we were in our 20s, we didn't knew about CSR, we didn't knew about environment, nothing. बस एक चीज पता थी, पेड़ बचाना है या पेड़ उगाना है, right? And I don't know, school projects में बहुतों ने किया है वो, right? But we never understood the impact of it. But today's generation is much more informed. If I don't take that step today, people will stop consuming the product which I'm actually producing. We have seen the amount of youth going down and moving to different other alternatives and going for Cokes and Pepsis. I mean, after that entire controversy came, we have seen a shift in it, right? So my consumers will go away from me if I don't change as a business and I don't show my responsibility towards the earth on which I'm doing entire business. So I think this is also to do with, if I want to hold back my consumers, if I want to hold back those youth to kind of continue with my products, take the step today. And it can be 2%, it can go to 1%, or it can go to 50%. It doesn't matter, till the time I'm making sure that I'm saving the earth on which I'm living and the environment I'm.
Yeah, well, like this 2% which the company is supposed to give should not be like a. It is not the penalty because of kuch nahi hai. It is as good as you are killing someone in a road accident and then police is saying 500 rupees do. Right. It is not as like utna effective nahi hoga as a penalty. I come from a little fashion perspective because on the sidelines I am building a social fashion startup called Mool. So uh, I strongly feel we should bring environmental sustainability to the masses. And how to do that? I only give fashion industry ka ye because मेरे को वही पता है. Uh, my team since the day one they have been saying, Himanshu, we need to have sustainable t-shirts. Himanshu, we need to have sustainable cotton ke t-shirts. And I was like, okay, do the pricing and tell me मेरे को कितने के पड़ेंगे वो t-shirts when I manufacture it. And it is very very high. Like if I'm supposed to sell a t-shirt of eco, which is a sustainable t-shirt, it's anyways going to go above 1,000 rupees come selling price. We can't help only. The only task I gave them ki okay, you have cracked how to do it. Now tell me how I can make a 500 rupees worth ka t-shirt to it. Because if you see the whole country and if you see the whole world, people who are able to purchase a t-shirt more than 1,000 rupees are like points mein number hai wo, percentage hai, right? Majority of our crowd only purchases between 500 to 700 ka range. अब उधर the person who is able to purchase a t-shirt for 1,000 rupees, उसका anyways personal level पे carbon footprint बहुत कम है because he's aware, he's educated. Person who can only afford a t-shirt of 400 rupees might not be that aware about the environment. And उसको ये बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है कि ये t-shirt का environment friendly है. उसको ये बोलना है कि bro, this is 400 rupees ka t-shirt and it is also environmental friendly. Because the number of people who can afford that, उन सबका combined carbon footprint will be a huge multiple as compared to हम eco-friendly t-shirts एक 1,000 rupees के ऊपर के बेच के customer का जो carbon footprint कम करेंगे. So I think companies should try to make it affordable is what I feel. Like today we are seeing in EVs also. If I today have like a capacity to purchase a car, I can't purchase a EV today. Right? हाँ, people say कि it will save your maintenance cost, it will save your fuel cost, but मेरे पास आज पैसे नहीं है ना उसको खरीदने के. So this is where I think the companies when it comes to
यहाँ पर तो आपको सरकार को बोलनी चाहिए सब्सिडी देने के लिए ना ईवी के लिए. सरकार सब्सिडी देती नहीं है, लेकिन तुम कंपनी को बोलते हो and then सरकार बोलती है तुम 2% दो. So if you go on there, the problem is policy. The policy is skewed. Right? Understand that it's a full macro thing. If the government gives you a subsidy, you will buy it tomorrow, right? But the problem is, why do people go for LPG and CNG gaadis? Because they love the environment. Rubbish. They go because they get sasta. It's subsidized. All right. So subsidy. So hence, it's very important to see things on a full 360 thing. Very, very important. Sustainable fashion is very, very important. The problem is the margins. If you do sustainable fashion in India, you will not be able to make a business. So sustainable fashion, produce it in India and export it to the West. And the margins which you make from that, use that and plow that back into social imperatives in India. And that's ESG for you again.
Yeah, so
right?
basically...
Now, any more advice for this? Any more advice to you, Himanshu? I'm going to charge you a consulting fee after this.
No stress. I'm anyways open for it. But I think, sir, wo fir bhi kitna bhi kar lena, there will be a section which will be left out. And I think innovation is the key. If we EVs उतने महंगे ही क्यों, अगर उसको हम और सस्ता बनाने की कोशिश करें, I think it will happen in a few years. कि the technology, see, before we used to purchase earphones of more than 1,000 rupees only. आजकल 100 रुपए में मिलते हैं same quality के earphones. Technology in time will go cheaper, and when it goes cheaper, automatically it will become affordable. The only thing is how fast the companies can do it. And
actually,
तो subsidy की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी. Subsidy is at the end taxpayers' money, right? Subsidy की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़नी चाहिए, is what I feel.
So as Aditya said, it's a cycle, right? And I think, and if you look back in time, like when India was we were a steel deficient country. For the Tatas to create Jamshedpur was barely a nickel, because they were the government needed steel, so it was encouraged to manufacture steel in-house instead of importing it, right? And that's driven a huge economy. That's driven it's empowered so many people's lives and whatever. It's changed the face of Indian landscape, infrastructure landscape that Tata plant had changed. The same way, my personal thought is, and this is just my 2 cents on the same topic, is I think the world is changing. We are talking about CSR and CSR being probably a hypocritical publicity act. CSR exists today because of what was created in the past and the cause and effect it has right now in the world around it. But I think going forward, and I think I would probably want to end on this note with all of y'all as well, and your thoughts on this would probably, we should be looking at a world, and this is just an illusion that I'm putting forward out there, where companies, and I think Tesla is an example, are socially driven, which are still solving problems of today, making money, creating a social impact through that. And I think that's the level of entrepreneurship that needs to be encouraged. That's the thought of capitalism that needs to come in, that it isn't just all your cumulative deltas and you make a margin on that. It's in fact creating a very tangible and a very value added impact within the society. And I think if that's this is just my thought on it. And if you all could share your last statements.
Rajesh, I'll just share I've got a hard stop. I would run for another meeting. So I'll just share my one statement. I'll put 3 points. Number one, I'm part of the advisory committee to the IFRS. And now ESG reporting is compulsory globally, like your accounting reporting. You don't report it as a global company, you're jacked. So you have to do that, number one. Number two, just like 15 years ago, today, the Civil Bahar IIT, Civil, we always say, what's the point? Today, if you don't have a good Civil score, you cannot get a loan. The same thing is coming in now for ESG ratings. If the company is not properly ESG rated, you will not get loans very, very soon in 2050 years. Final thing when it comes, I completely agree with you. You have to have companies to develop social models. One very, very good example of this, again, if you look at sustainable fashion and clothing, as Sumanshu was talking about, is a company called Patagonia in Europe. They've again changed the entire model. So models are there. Where there's a will, there's a way. In the end, do you have the will? If you have the will, you can do it, because all the rest of them are just tools for you to implement. And I'll beg a leave on that. And remember, it's not a choice. You have a plan A, plan B, plan C. You don't have a planet B. There's only one planet, that's Earth. So if you screw this up, you're all screwed.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Aditya. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Aditya sir. Let's connect. It was great having you.
Pleasure. Bye, guys.
Thanks. Yeah.
Bye.
Anjali ji, Himanshu, closing statements.
So, Rajesh, I would like to end my this with a quote. The quote is from the person whom I inspire the most from. It's Jamshedji Tata, the founder of Tata. He rightly said, and ये quote का मुस्कान ऑफिस में बड़ा सा frame लगा हुआ है, because that is a driving force for us also, whether we are building a business or an NGO or anything. The quote is that in a free enterprise, the community is not just another stakeholder in the business, but it is the fact, but it is in fact the very purpose of its existence. When you're doing a business, community should be in the center of it. It's not an external stakeholder. वो कोलैटरल में नहीं आता. कम्युनिटी है, लोग है, तभी तो तुम्हारा बिजनेस चलेगा, तभी तो कुछ भी चलेगा. And if you don't focus on them and if you don't uplift them, your business will not survive. And with that only we work day in and day out with that inspiration, because every time you're doing something, think about the community. If you're harming the community, if you're developing them, automatically तुम्हें समझ में आएगा कि तुम कहाँ पे सही जा रहे हो, कहाँ पे गलत जा रहे हो, and it will help your business only. It has helped Tata's as a great example, and it will help others also. Today, the problem is that Tata 150 साल पुरानी कंपनी है, and today एक Tata ही तो समझ में आता है philanthropy में, right? No one else is, but today's youth need like someone who is relevant to them also, right? Tata say youth can't connect. We don't see the next Tata coming up in the next 10 years also, and I think that is the dire need, because एक opinion leader के पीछे फिर सब चलेंगे, and then that will impact the world a lot. So let's hope that someone like Tata,
we have to see a modern day Tata.
या तो फिर हम करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. Let's see. But yeah, fingers crossed. It's a very long-term game. But we need someone like that. And businesses should think that community is in the center. They should not keep community apart. And khud kya hi soch rahe, right? So yeah, that's my ending note.
Thank you, Himanshu. Anjali ji, one last word from you.
Yes. The only thing is, CSR is not for your consumers or for your stakeholders or your center of the people who are there. It is also for your internal employees.
Yeah.
Companies जो बोलती कुछ और हैं करती कुछ और हैं. So
Yeah.
I think walk the talk is something which most companies need to do it, and I don't think the percentage or anything is going to change if you're walking the talk. That's it. I mean,
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliantly put up. Thank you so much, Anjali ji and Himanshu, for joining
Thank
us.
you so much, Rajesh. It was
thank
great.
you.
Maza aaya.
Absolute pleasure having you. Thank you so much to the Rotaract Club of Navi Mumbai Smart City for giving us this opportunity and giving me the opportunity to be the panel, to be the moderator for this panel.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Revati.
Thank you so much. It was indeed a great discussion. Thank you all for this insightful session. Moving on, let me introduce you all to our next speaker, Anurag Chauhan, an Indian social worker and the founder of Humans for Humanity, a non-governmental organization based in Dehradun, India. He is well known for his social work, especially in the area of menstrual hygiene. Chauhan launched WASH, a program aimed at educating women about menstrual hygiene. In 2015, during the pandemic, he was helped over 8,000 households in various parts of the country, assisting communities, low-income families, trans men, widows, and other vulnerable groups. The WASH project is a pilot project of the organization, which has been working to promote menstrual hygiene among women in rural parts of 6 states in the country since last year and has opted to embark on Trans Men initiative.
He has also received the Mahatma Puraskar in 2021 for social impact as the WASH project reached over 2.5 million women. He has also been awarded with the Kargil Chakra Award by the United Nations in 2016. Chauhan appeared on Kaun Banega Crorepati multiple times, airing on Sony TV as an expert. Let's welcome Mr. Anurag Chauhan.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. And it's a great pleasure. I was listening to the session before this. It's quite inspiring, and it's great that I could be a part of the session. Do you want me to talk about myself? What do you want me to do?
Yeah, sir, your experience and more about the WASH project that you
Okay. So my journey basically started at the age of 14. And it started when I saw Pandit Birju Maharaj performing at my school. And when I saw him performing at the school, the only question that came to my mind was, why is he performing at this age? Because my grandfather at his age is enjoying his retirement. When I asked him this question, he answered that whatever we had in our country was either taken away or stolen away. What is left, that's what I'm preserving. And that's when I asked him, what should I do? And he said, being a youngster, you should volunteer. And that's how I started with SPICMK, which is Society for the Promotion of Indian Classical Music and Culture amongst youth. This is how I started my journey by volunteering with artists and slowly, gradually realizing and being introduced to so many other subjects and topics around me. I realized that I wanted to do social work, and I started with waste management. And as of now, we're working on Humans for Humanity on multiple projects. We work on education, we work on employment generation, we work on preserving art, culture, heritage. And our pilot project is WASH project, as Dhriti and Kriti told you about. So the WASH project stands for Women's Sanitation Hygiene. Now, first of all, why do I need to start something like this, which is as basic, something that happens to 50% population of this world, which happens to women, and not just one woman, every woman menstruates. Now, what is the need for us to start WASH project? It is because in 2011, I read an article which said that 180,000 women die in our country every year. And the article was very clear at saying that these facts are not accurate facts because we do not know the exact number, but this is an estimate number of women dying in our country. Now you see, someone shoots 20 women on a street, becomes a world news saying terrorist shoots 20 women in India or etc. Whatever place that may be. But when lakhs and lakhs of women die in our country because of something as basic as poor menstrual hygiene, no one's talking about it. No one was talking about it at that point of time. And that was disturbing. Now I'll tell you how this started for me. This started for me because I used to play with my mother's sanitary napkin being a child. I used to steal them. I used to use ink and water to see how much it can absorb, because on television I would see the commercials and I had no idea what is it for, until my mother told me it is for her blood. And when she said that, I was so immature as a kid. I thought it is a kind of a band-aid. So that is the unawareness that I had despite of going to a good school. Now, we don't blame the schools, but we have this chapter in the school, but how many teachers actually teach this chapter? Very few. And it is because they also belong to the same society. They are also shy talking about it. And there's so many taboos that we deal with on day-to-day basis. But let me explain to you what the WASH project is in five points. The very first point that we work on is awareness. Now, awareness about menstruation. A lot of women, when they menstruate for the first time, a lot of girls do not know why. What is the reason behind it? What is the biological reason of their menstruation? Now, imagine, be it a boy or a girl, a woman or a man, anyone bleeding all of a sudden will be traumatized if they don't know what is the reason behind it. So a lot of women get traumatized because they're unaware about menstrual cycle. They're not told about it by the parents or school, etc., etc. Apart from that, even if they know about menstruation, there are so many taboos that exist in our society that women do not want to do not know about it, do not know as to what they should do to keep themselves clean. So awareness is the very first thing that we work on. The second thing is nutrition. Now, in our country, about 14% population is malnourished. They're malnourished, and one of the biggest problems that we know is poverty. But is poverty the only issue? The second biggest reason for malnutrition is gender biased. Mothers intentionally or unintentionally do not give enough food to their daughters. And when they become mothers, their children are malnourished. This is one of the reasons of malnutrition. So making them aware about what kind of food they should take. And also when we talk about nutrition in the cities, we think of avocados and we think of fancy fruits, etc. But we have to think about accessibility, availability, and whether whether it is accessible to them, whether it is affordable, and whether it's available in the area where they are. Keeping in mind these three things, we take the team nutritionists along with us to these areas where we give them diet charts. We give them plans as to how they can have a nutritious meal without spending more money, whatever money they have, keeping in mind that what strata they come from. The second part, the third thing that we work on is listening circles. These listening circles, we also call them trauma management. Now, in the first point I told you, a lot of women do not know what is the reason of menstruation, and hence they end up traumatized. Now, you see, we might think that, okay, after 15 days, this person might forget about it. But somewhere down the line in their minds, in the subconscious mind, it remains. And that is one reason why we have to deal with the trauma. We have to manage the trauma. We also create listening circles in villages so that women can come out and talk about their issues. See, living in the cities, it's very easy for us to maybe call a friend and say, hey, I'm dealing with issue. I'm having a problem. Can I share it with you? But imagine lives of women living in the villages. How many of them even have the time to address their issues? And women in general, I think, always prioritize their family. They give the priority to the family, to the children, and their own problems are not dealt with. So here in the listening circle, we deal with such problems. We provide counseling sessions to these women, and they're professionals who give them these counseling sessions. Also, if there is any medical problem, the doctors, the gynecologists are there to give them this consultations. Now, the fourth point is where we provide them with sanitary napkins. But giving one sanitary napkin to a woman is like giving food to someone once. They will need food again when they're hungry. Similarly, a woman will need probably the sanitary pads again the next month. So we do not want it to make them dependent on us. And what happens is each time you give them one pad and say, use this, you have to think, what will she do the next time? And that is why in the fifth point, we started teaching them how to make their own sanitary pads. And when we teach them making their own sanitary pads, they become independent. They make eco-friendly sanitary napkins, which are made out of cloth. The other kind of sanitary napkin that we are making is made out of bamboo, banana, and sugarcane pulp, which is 100% eco-friendly. Now, you see, apart from this, we work in the cities with the urban population. The urban population might know what is menstruation, but there's so many things that they're unaware about. For example, when I visit colleges and I ask women that how many of them know what is the product made of, what is the sanitary pad made of, I think about 80 to 90% population, they do not know what is a sanitary pad made of. Now, you see, when you go to a shop to buy maybe a SPF or a cream or anything that you want to apply on your skin, you're so particular about what it is because you don't want any kind of allergy on your face. You don't want any pimples. You don't want any marks on your face. So you're so particular that my product, whatever I'm using, has to be a good product, should not have chemicals, should be organic. But when you buy a sanitary pad, you just buy a sanitary pad. You're not bothered what kind of chemicals are used in it. You're not bothered what kind of plastic is used in it and how it is harming you and the environment at the same time. So this is what we do working with the urban and the rural population. We are working with schools, government schools, private schools. The private school children, they have a period called SUPW. And in that period, they make sanitary pads so that, first of all, they get introduced to what a sanitary pad is. And second, making them socially responsible. When they make enough sanitary pads each month, the school children go out to the nearby areas to distribute these sanitary pads. Similarly, we're working with the rural schools, with the government schools, colleges, where we're teaching them about menstrual hygiene management, teaching them about making their own sanitary pad. Now, menstrual hygiene management is not just one-day affair. It takes months and months to deal with it. Also, when we meet someone for the first time, we don't end up talking to them about periods. I mean, imagine Revati sitting here. Revati, can I ask you all of a sudden when I meet you for the first time that, hey, Revati, are you on your periods today? You'll be thinking Anurag is out of his mind. He's lost his mind. Why does he want to know about this? Similarly, those women in the rural areas take a lot of time to open up. And we work on multiple programs with them. We work on rapport building programs with them so that we can ask them these questions and we can work with them on menstrual hygiene management. So there are multiple things, multiple levels on which we work with these women. I think this is what, as of now, I can tell you about the WASH project very briefly. You can ask any other questions if you have.
So, sir, there's a question. What were the difficulties that you faced while teaching menstrual hygiene to rural women, as they are not very open to the topic?
I think they've been very open. This is what I don't understand. We believe that rural women are very, even with the ghungats, they had this big ghungat in Rajasthan. They were still talking to me very openly. In fact, I've been given multiple names and titles in these areas. So in Rajasthan, in a village called Chauhan, they started calling me Dr. Babu, because they think that I'm a doctor because I'm talking about menstrual hygiene management. In a lot of places, they have given me certain names, but I think women are very open if you talk to them the right way. First of all, also, I told you that, rapport building plays a very important role. You need to build some kind of rapport to be able to talk to them about something so private and something so personal. I think the biggest issue in working in this particular field is, first of all, getting the right information your own self, because half-cooked information is worse than not knowing. If you give them a wrong information, it's worse than not knowing anything. So researching every day, the teams that we have, there is Sonali, and she's the director for information. She's the director for research and analysis. So each day there is research happening as to what we have to change in the workshops, what we have to add to the workshops. For example, I'll give you a very small example. A lot of people think and call eco-friendly sanitary napkins for the reusable sanitary pads. The reusable sanitary pads that are made out of cloth are called eco-friendly. We also make it, but I don't call them eco-friendly because you use so much water to wash them. And each time you wash these sanitary pads, you're wasting water, which is why it cannot be called eco-friendly. Second, the population that we work with, especially living in the rural areas and in the slums of the cities also, you must have seen, and if you've been to slums, you must have realized that water is one of the biggest issues in slums and villages, which is why if we give them out these handmade sanitary pads made out of cloth, and they have to reuse them and wash them, it's very, very difficult for them, which is why we're making the pads out of bamboo, banana, and sugarcane pulp, providing them with these pads. So yeah, these are the difficulties. Other than that, of course, the previous session about CSR, I wanted to be a part of that session, listening to all these people, because I said, I really need all four of you to tell me about CSR, because NGOs, a lot of NGOs do not have the right information, right access, or right approach about CSR. We don't know how to go about it. Especially a person like me who never cared about the money, has not worked with any of the CSR projects as of now. So that is one issue, because when you expand, when I started, I was only in Dehradun. Now we are expanding, we're in 6 states. Now, when we reach to 6 states, we realize that we need a lot of money to work in these 6 states, and my pocket money is not enough. So that is one of the biggest issues as well.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, actually, I have one question. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned something about the sanitary napkins being eco-friendly, and you're using bamboo, banana, and some other things to make it eco-friendly. So my question is that since we are now, we are moving more towards the sustainable solutions, like most women, the young women these days are using either tampons or menstrual cup, more menstrual cup than tampons. So have you ever thought of educating the rural women about the menstrual cup?
Well, Rithi, what makes you think that it's not sustainable to use a cloth? The best thing that I think has ever happened that Indian women have been using is a cloth. I think nothing is more sustainable than that. Now, all these techniques, I mean, you talk about a menstrual cup. Of course, I advocate for it. It's a very good thing if someone wants to use it. But you see, in a population that we're talking about, where women are still using sand and ash and dry leaves, telling them to use a tampon or telling them to use a menstrual cup is very difficult. Also, it comes in different sizes. Now, people say that it's very easy to identify which one do you need according to your weight and your size. No, it does differ. You know, we tried it. I think to make sure which menstrual cup suits you the best, you at least need to try 3 sizes. Now, you see, even if I'm buying one menstrual cup for 400, for each woman, I have to buy three menstrual cups to then finally decide which one she needs. Also, other than that, it is so difficult for them to convince them to use something like this. It's almost like saying, my child is very smart in education. He's in class 1 now, and I think I should send them to class 10th directly, skipping all the classes. I think it is a very, very, very slow process. It will take time in the rural areas for women to accept menstrual cups and tampons. Well, people who are aware and want to use it, well, very good. They should use it. See, it's all about the choice. Even in the urban areas, a lot of women, despite of knowing about menstrual cups, do not want to use them. And I, as running this organization, can only make them aware about the same. I can't force them to use that. But I think I advocate more for sanitary pads. I advocate more for something that is easily available to them. When we talk about tampons and menstrual cups, I think of not just rural women, but think about tribal women. They have been using ash. Even today, they use dirty cloth. Now, one reason for why women are using dirty cloth is mindset. Now, what kind of mindset do they have? When you're sitting on a table and maybe you drop something, or you're eating an ice cream and you dirty the table, they say, ganda kapda lekar aana. साफ करने के लिए हम गंदा कपड़ा मांगते हैं कई बार. So because we know that this to clean this, we need a dirty cloth so that we can just throw that cloth away. Now, a lot of women have been told that menstruation or periods is a dirty process. Now, because it's a dirty process, in their mind, they end up using a dirty cloth, which adds to the disease, which adds to infections. And that is what we need to change, the mindset. Anything else?
So, sir, what is next for you?
Well, next for me is to establish these machines and these units in every state that I can, so that we can train more women, we can employ more women, and we can provide them with more skills. The wish, if you say next, I think the wish that I have is that we should eradicate this problem of menstrual hygiene, poor menstrual hygiene from the entire nation. But I cannot do it alone. So next for me is requesting all of you to be a part of this movement and making sure that poor menstrual hygiene is eradicated from this country. And it's a huge country, and considering the size and population of this country, I think we need people and representatives in every state so that people can work on this project and we can get rid of this. In 2018, I gave a statement saying that poor menstrual hygiene, if not looked after at this point of time, can become as big as polio. And that is when a lot of politicians, a lot of bureaucrats mocked at me, thinking that Anurag cannot think anything beyond menstruation. But in 2019, a study comes out, an international study which was published all across the globe, and it said no access to menstrual hygiene products, which is one of the biggest reasons of poor menstrual hygiene, has become 5th biggest reason in the world for women to die. Now, when this study comes out, I think a lot of people are aware in the urban areas. Now, a lot of governments are looking into it. So the request to all the organizations and individuals who are working in the field of menstrual hygiene management is, do not give out wrong information to the women. Because each time you give out wrong information, it leads to so many other problems. So you should have the right information. Your team should have the right information. And I think, it is also funny in many ways, because Riti and Kriti, let me ask you a question. When you have a stomach ache, do you go to a dentist?
No.
When you have to buy clothes, do you go to a mill? Do you go to a store?
A store.
But unfortunately, I think somewhere down the line, when we need to improve something in the field, so what people do not know, that social work is also a profession, and there's a degree that people take to do social work. So each time there is a need of a social worker, I think people should contact social workers who have the degree to do that, who know the profession, who are into this profession of doing social work. I'm not saying not everyone can do social work. You can do charity, you can do donations, but that is also changed in big ways. There was a time when people would donate and do charity in big ways, but today, if Anurag does not want to wear this kurta, doesn't want to wear this dupatta, rather than saying that I'll discard it, he says I'll donate it. And you end up giving your old clothes and call it donation. Well, that is the kind of hypocrisy we have in our country. And I think, again, we go back to the mindset. We'll have to change our mindsets to change this society. I will end this session with one small thing that I end up with each time I speak on any public platform, is what happened to me in 2000, when I was 15 years of age. It was already 1 year of me working in the social sector. and I was fortunate enough to meet His Holiness Dalai Lama. And when I met him, I could not say anything. I was in tears. And my friend asked me that, why don't you ask him a question? Since we are sitting here for half an hour, you must ask a question. And I asked him a question. I said, where do I find Buddha? And His Holiness said, he smiled and he said, each time there's someone who's smiling and you are the reason for that person's smile, for that fraction of moment when that person is smiling, you become Buddha. You don't need to go and look for him. So I think we all must work towards this. And thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Omkar, Revti, Khushi, Dhriti, and Kriti for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, sir, and we wish you all the very best for your upcoming projects.
Thank you.
Yeah. So moving on, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. Are you willing to be a part of the Operation Ganga and evacuate students from Ukraine? Yes, that was the question asked to the fearless pilot, to which she did not even take a moment to respond yes. Captain Shivani Kaldra is one of those pilots who was involved in Operation Ganga to bring back Indian students stuck in the crisis hit Ukraine. The Air India pilot and her family were preparing for her brother's wedding when she received a call and was asked to join the evacuation process. Only days after the call, Captain Shivani and her team returned with more than 250 Indian students who had taken shelter in Romania and Hungary after fleeing from Ukraine. She was the captain of the flight which successfully evacuated 249 Indian students from Budapest, Romania. Let's call upon Captain Shivani Kaldra.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you, Dhriti and Kriti, for such a lovely introduction. But I'll just like to correct you here a little that it was not just me on that flight initially in Operation Ganga. We were 5 of us together who did this. And apart from that, in the first segment, when I went to Budapest, it was 240 students. And in the second segment, when I went to Bucharest, it was 180 students. The last flight of Operation Ganga was also operated by me with our Honorable Chief Civil Aviation Minister. So that's to that. And okay, so what all you want to know from my side? First, tell me that.
Ma'am, everything like about the operation, how your family reacted to you going to Ukraine.
Okay, so as you've already introduced that, of course, I was my brother's marriage was about the corner, and it was I was really here and there managing stuff for the wedding, and that's when I received a call. It was an off day for me, and I received a call from our rostering department that, ma'am, this is a requirement, and we don't have pilots to take this flight ahead because we are running short of pilots because our regular flights are also going on. These flights are unscheduled flights. These are non-scheduled flights, and so the regular operations are all managed very well. But since this was a sudden come in, and we were asked to do it, and I was in a jiffy that that I'll do it. It's all right. When I have to, just tell me when I have to wear my uniform, and I'll be there at the airport. Okay, and that's how it went. And when I didn't initially, I didn't tell my parents that I'm going for this flight. But after once I was about to depart from my home for this flight, I told them, I'm going for this flight, and this is what it is, because it was a short call. We were just asked to get ready and be at the airport in a very short span of time, and that's what happened. And I think my mom and dad both apparently hugged me for the first time before going for a flight. And it might sound a little different now, but that time it was a little intense, knowing the situation which we might face. Thankfully, everything was good, everything was safe. All the safety measures were taken beforehand with all the governments and all the aviation facilities. But of course, they're my parents, and for them, I'm still their kid, and they didn't realize that all this can actually how it all can turn out. They were of course scared for that part, so they hugged me for the first time, and all they had to say was that get everyone home safe. And I departed for the flight. So once we started, we almost went with a crew of about 20 people, including the engineers and the cabin crew and the pilots. And it was the rest of the aircraft was all empty. And it was about 7.5 hours of flight time to reach Budapest. And once we landed there in Budapest, it was a little difficult situation since the weather conditions were pretty harsh there. Even in Bucharest, they're touching borders somehow nearby to Russia, so they're very near, and it's a very cold area. So weather can be really tricky at these places, and it's not every day that you get to, land in such harsh conditions, because the weather can be really a challenge when we are into aviation. This is the primest most factor. There were strong winds. Apart from that, it was snowing as well before we landed, so the entire runway, and not the runway, but the entire area was all covered with snow as well. But that's to that. We as pilots are always prepared and trained for such flights as well. So that was easily overcome, and I think the rest of the part, the entire nation took care of it. Not just the nation, the entire world took care of it, because it was not just the Indian government, the Indian airspace, but we crossed, I think, more than 7 airspaces to reach to Budapest, and it involved a lot of countries. So to give us a safe passage, that means, which is for a non-scheduled flight, there needs to be arrangement made. So I think the entire world participated, not just me. The entire world actually participated in this evacuation and in this airlift. Okay, so according to that, I think we were given a very safe passage. We were made sure that we reached to our destination well before time, and we reached without any hassle. And once we reached there, I think I've put on a little video as well, that we could see all the kids standing at the terminal and trying to wave at us, and trying getting that feeling. You usually don't see that, on a regular flight. You won't see that. Okay, you won't see that all the passengers who are there, they're waving at you, and they're filming you, and they're happy and cheering for it. You can see it all. It was right there, and that's when we actually started to realize that this is what it means. This is what we're going to do today. This is how important it is, because these passengers, these kids, most of them actually are coming from a war, disturbed area. So I think a lot of them have already shared their stories. I've shared it a couple of times already on social media. So it's more like that, it's just harsh. It's just difficult, because at the end of the day, these are human beings, and most of them kids who are going through such a trauma and such a difficult situation. So it's not easy to come out of such a situation. It does leave a lot of impact on a person individually, if you have seen it from your own eyes. Okay, so we could see that in their faces. We could see that on their faces completely, and how relaxed they were. Once they boarded the aircraft, they were well taken care of. Of course, we took off from Budapest within 1.5 hour of our stop, and boarded everyone, made sure everyone is comfortable, and after that, the moment. This is something which is really, really unforgettable, because these things don't happen usually. Okay, that's how you know that you have done something different in life. That's what makes you realize that what you have done actually. everyone's saying that, it's just a simple flight, but it's, of course, it was a simple flight, but because we didn't get attacked, because we didn't face any challenges, it was there was a flight before as well. I don't know if you read about it or not, but we have tried going before as well, but we were asked to return because the safe passage was not given to us. We were asked to return, or otherwise our aircraft would have been bombed. Okay, there were missiles which were there ready to launch. This has happened before. There was an unsuccessful flight before as well. But this time, I think after that, a lot of other safety measures were taken care of, and that's how we were successfully able to do that. Okay. So once we landed back in Delhi, I mean, it was the entire aircraft. The moment we touched down at the runway, there was a loud round of applause, and I think that's when you actually start to realize that what it means, to fly that flight for everyone. So that was Operation Ganga, and once we came out, there was, just at the arrival gate of the terminal, we could see the parents waiting. We could see the parents hugging their kids. We could see families reuniting. You don't see that in normal day life. You don't see that in a normal operational flights.
Okay, ma'am. So next question, what is next for you?
What is next for me? Well, right now, I think just flying and focusing on my career and taking a step ahead. And I'm preparing for my next exams soon. So I hope, I take this next step and get there soon.
Okay, it was great talking to you, Captain Shivani, and I'm sure that many girls in the audience are inspired by your story and your bravery. More
Thank you
power to
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I would like, Kriti and Vriti, first of all, thank you for having me. But I would like to close this session with a slight note and motivation to all the women out there. I come from a very regular background. I don't have very rich parents, but I do have educated parents. While growing up, how our Indian society is. We as women, we as girls, we are mostly taught that, क्या करना है, बड़े होके शादी करनी है, right? So most of the girls, I think, forget to dream. They forget to dream that they can be more than a wife. They can be more than a daughter. They can be more than a mother. I'm not saying that these roles are not important. Of course, they hold a very, very high value to us. We as women, we know how much we do, and we as women, we know how much we sacrifice. But the only message I want to give to all the girls out there who are still not able to decide to what to do in their lives, I just want to tell them that please learn to dream. First of all, learn to dream. Okay, let your dreams take charge for you. Let your dreams come out. Keep that openness with your family so that you can discuss those dreams with them. Okay, and if you have a very good understanding with your parents, that's how they'll always end up taking the best decision for you in your life. Okay, never ever underestimate that हमारे parents कभी नहीं समझते हैं. सबके parents समझते हैं. कोई भी ऐसा बच्चा नहीं होता जिसके parents उसको प्यार नहीं करते हैं. Okay, so all I want the women, the girls out there to do is dream bigger. We are more than that. A girl can be capable of many things if she actually starts to dreaming. Okay, we are multitasking from the birth. Okay, so just start dreaming and let your wings spread and keep them flying.
Yes, ma'am.
I do have a question for you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
How has life changed after Project Ganga?
Oh, life has changed after Project Operation Ganga. It has given me a lot of, firstly, the limelight, of course, which I'm very grateful to. And, there are a lot of other women pilots as well. There are other male pilots as well. It's not like they're not those who have been part of this operation as well. But somehow I got I was there at the right time, at the right moment. Maybe you can say that. And with that, I think a lot of appreciation, a lot of love, and a lot of, I would say, a message to a lot of women out there has gone out. That this field majorly is being dominated by males, okay, all over the world. In India specifically, we are still the highest where we have women pilot. We are about 30% as compared to the ratio, but in the world, we are only 10%. Only 10% of women pilot. So I think this has come out, and before me, there are other few captains who have achieved, female captains who have achieved a high string in their career, which has been already promoted very nicely by the media. And that's how, and I'm thankful to everyone that they're doing this, because this is giving all the women this opportunity that they can also dream. This is actually the medium for us to convey to all the women out there that you're allowed to dream. You can achieve whatever you like. You can achieve your dreams, and you can achieve whatever you decide you want in life. So that's what has Operation Ganga has done for me. It has given me more of a face, a value, so that I can reach out to the regular people and tell my story, inspire more of women, inspire more of girls to join aviation, which I've been already doing. But I think this helped me a lot. This actually helped me a lot.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You are really inspirational. It was great hearing to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. I hereby sign off as MOC for the evening, and I would like to hand it over to Rotractor Khushi, the chairperson of next 2021-2022.
Hello, good evening, all. I am Rotractor Khushi Bharadwaj, project chairperson for the Next Think Tank 2022. Finally, the most awaited day arrived, and I couldn't be more happier as the chairperson for this event. And I'm sure everyone has learned something really valuable and motivational from this evening. I would like to thank all the speakers and panelists for making this event a great success. We are honored to have all of the panelists and such great speakers on board with us. Okay. Firstly, I would like to thank, I'm really grateful to our president, Rotractor Revati Sawant, who believed in me and gave me this opportunity to lead such a project. I know I've been too much annoying, or way too annoying throughout the project, but she was there patiently, ready to help me out in each and everything, even when it came to smallest of things. Then comes a person everybody knows, like without whom it wouldn't have been possible. This event wouldn't have been possible without this person, Rotractor Omkar Kadam. Thank you so much for your guidance and support. Then I would like to thank all the HODs, Rotractor Abhishek Mishra, for posting such amazing creatives and also handling the technicals, and even Nikita. And now these two girls, I know they were gonna rock. They were gonna ace this as MOCs for tonight, which is Dhriti and Kirti. You guys were really amazing. Thank you so much. And last but not the least, I would like to thank the audience for spending such valuable time. And I would like to thank everyone. Sorry if I've missed out on anyone's name. I would like to call upon the district Professional Development Director, Rotaractor Vishal Shah, Rotaractor Anvi Shetty, and Rotaractor Reena Mapari to speak a few words. I think we can carry on with the Vice President's vote of thanks.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you, Kushi, for that. And since our vice presidents are quite busy at the moment in something else, so I'll be giving the vote of thanks. So, first of all, thanking the chairperson, that is Rotractor Kushi Bharadwaj. I don't think anyone else would have chaired this project better than her. Uh, our MOCs for the day, Rotractor Dhiti and Kirti, who are also the HODs for the project. Rotractor Omkar Kadam, who is always there supporting for each and every project that happens in the club. Our technicals, Rotractor Abhishek Mishra and Yash, Yash, who isn't even a part of the club and has helped us with throughout the event. And our President-elect, Sergeant at Arms, and the TRS chair, Rotractor Rohit Deshpande, who has been there in every step of the way. And obviously, the two clubs who we are doing this project jointly with, that is Rotaract Club of Ashoka Artisans and Rotaract Club of Katukasrota region. Thank you so much, guys, for your help throughout the project and for always supporting the initiative. Thank you to all the speakers and all the panelists and the moderator who was our own DRR, that is Rotarian Rotractor Rahesh Dani. Thank you so much, Rahesh, for doing this for us. And yeah, I think that's all. And also now we have Rotractor Vishal Shah, who is the PD director um, of Rotaract District 3142, who will now be saying a few words. Yeah. Over to you, Vishal.
Hi guys. Very good evening. Firstly, thank you so much for taking the Next Think Tank brand ahead. Rotaract Club of Smart City is always doing Next Think Tank from past 3 years. So it's a good feeling that hopefully the club is doing it in the upcoming years as well. Firstly, I apologize. I was not able to attend the event, but hopefully the things have gone really well. And yes, all the best to the chairperson Kushi. And yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vishal. And also thanking all the three PD directors of the district for helping out Kushi whenever she had any doubts. So thank you guys for that. And yeah, with that, I end my vote of thanks. And now I'll be adjourning the event. So hereby adjourning the next Think Tank 2022. Thank you.
Live stop हो गया.